The loudest man in the room is often the weakest. Confucius never shouted. He didn't need to. Because truth doesn't compete. It simply exists. And you were not born to explain yourself to the world. You were born to become something the world can't ignore. Not through words. Through presence. Through quiet strength. Through actions so precise they make noise without sound. In the age of endless talking, the one who masters silence, the one who guards their energy like treasure, becomes a force of nature. This isn't about being passive. It's about becoming exact, like a blade honed by stillness, like a mountain unmoved by wind. Today, people announce every move before it's made. They post intentions. They declare goals. They say what they're going to do over and over again. And in doing so, they lose all power, because power doesn't exist in what you say. It exists in what you build when no one's watching. Understand this. Silence is not the absence of communication. It is the highest form of strategic control. Because silence doesn't reveal. It observes. It watches. It prepares. Think of the greats. Lincoln didn't brag about leadership. He led. Carnegie didn't boast. He built. Edison didn't talk about light. He created it. None of them tweeted their ideas. They moved in silence and struck with purpose. So why are you still announcing your every thought to a world that doesn't care? Confucius said, "The superior man is modest in his speech, but exceeds in his actions." That is the blueprint. Not less ambition, not less drive, but more precision. Speak less, so you can become more. There's a reason warriors meditate. There's a reason monks wake before the sun. It's not ritual. It's not religion. It's alignment. Because the mind that is still is the mind that sees. And only when you see clearly can you act decisively. This is why silence is power. It strips away distraction and reveals the truth. Success isn't hidden behind noise. It's buried beneath stillness. Every legend you admire, they didn't rise because they talked about rising. They rose because they did the work while everyone else was talking about doing it. You want greatness? You want legacy? Then start building in the dark. Build when no one claps. Train when no one cheers. Focus when the world spins in chaos. Because it is in your silence that power brews. People will tell you to brand yourself, to speak up, to be louder, more visible, more out there. But remember, visibility means nothing if what they see is hollow. Better to be underrated and undeniable than overrated and forgettable. When you speak less, your words gain weight. When you move in silence, your results echo. When you stop seeking validation, your spirit hardens. You stop being shaped by the world and begin shaping the world. Think of Bruce Lee, fluid, silent, lethal. He didn't need theatrics. He became the storm. Or think of the bamboo, silent in its growth, but when the storm comes, it survives because its strength is in its roots, not its noise. You must become like that, rooted, unshakable, quietly powerful, not seeking applause, commanding respect. Discipline doesn't shout, it whispers. It's the quiet click of the alarm before dawn, the silent refusal of distraction, the calm saying no when the world tempts you with highs. That is where greatness is born, in the moments no one sees, the moments no one praises. But you must fall in love with those moments, because your legacy will not be built by what you say. It will be built by what you repeat, every single day. Confucius spoke of virtue as a quiet force, not to be declared, but lived. You don't need to tell people you're committed. Be committed. You don't need to shout that you're hungry. Show them hunger by devouring the impossible. There is a reason wolves don't bark to hunt. They stalk, they plan, they strike. And when you adopt that same mindset, you move differently. You stop posting and start executing. You stop waiting and start building. You stop proving and start becoming. Because power isn't loud, it's focused. The man who learns to speak less discovers something the world has forgotten. That clarity isn't found in the noise. It's found in the pause between the noise. In that pause, you will hear what most never do: your own intention, your true direction, your untamed, unfiltered, unshakable vision. You begin to see your life as something sacred, not a billboard for validation, but a canvas for mastery. And when you honor that silence, you begin to live deliberately, no longer tossed by opinions or chasing trends or molding yourself to the temporary applause of the masses. No, you start to build for something eternal, because the man who speaks less gains power over himself, and that is the rarest power of all. Do you know what it takes to hold back your own voice in a world begging you to scream? That is the highest discipline, to resist the urge to explain yourself, defend yourself, prove yourself. Because the moment you feel the need to be understood, you've already handed away your edge. Let them misunderstand you. Let them underestimate you. Let them doubt, laugh, dismiss, and mock. That is your shield. Their noise is your camouflage. Because while they're watching each other, you are becoming the exception. Confucius once said, "When it is obvious that the goals cannot be reached, do not adjust the goals. Adjust the action steps." That is why silence matters. Not to say nothing, but to say only what must be said, and let everything else be said through action. Because when you're truly locked in, when you're building something that transcends distraction, you don't have time for commentary. You are too busy becoming. Think of how mountains form, not in explosions, but in pressure, time, force. Layer by silent layer, they rise without permission, without notice, until one day they are undeniable. Be that mountain, quiet in your growth, unstoppable in your rise. You want to win, then stop talking about it. Talk less. Train more. Talk less. Read more. Talk less. Work more. Talk less. Execute harder. Until the very walls around you begin to whisper your name. That's how legacies are made. Not through announcements, through alignment. Alignment between what you believe, what you think, what you do, and how you live. And here's the secret the loud never understand. When you live in alignment, you no longer need to be loud. You become magnetic, because people can feel the difference. They sense the quiet fire in your eyes. They sense you're building something deeper than status, something deeper than success. You're building self-mastery. The world needs more men like that, not louder men, deeper men, men with principles, with posture, with power that doesn't need validation. The men who show up, who deliver, who walk into rooms with nothing to prove, because they already are. That can be you. But you must let go of the noise. Let go of trying to impress. Let go of trying to please. Let go of needing to be seen. And just build. Just refine. Just become. The silence is your sanctuary. Protect it. Cultivate it. It will be the womb from which your destiny is born. Because one day, you'll wake up, look in the mirror, and realize you didn't become great by convincing others. You became great by convincing yourself, through repetition, through resilience, through ruthless, patient, silent discipline. That is your edge, that is your weapon, that is your rise. The world is loud, but strength, true strength, is silent, not because it lacks power, but because it doesn't need to perform. A lion doesn't roar while it's hunting. It stalks, studies, steps, waits, and strikes. Only the insecure rush to declare themselves kings. The real kings are too busy conquering. This is the law of quiet power. It doesn't announce itself. It simply makes itself undeniable over time. Do you understand how rare that is today? In a culture obsessed with validation, with shouting every goal before it's earned, with documenting every move but never mastering any, you don't rise by posting. You rise by practicing and practicing and practicing until your presence becomes louder than any words ever could. This is the discipline Confucius spoke of. Not the discipline of external order, but the internal command of self. He said, "The superior man is modest in his speech, but exceeds in his actions." That's not just a quote. That's a blueprint. It means say less, do more. Let your habits speak for you. Let your results echo louder than applause ever could. Because here's the hard truth. Words are easy. Plans are easy. Declarations are easy. But showing up every single day, without applause, without a crowd, without a camera, that's hard. That's what separates the imitators from the architects. And if you want to build something real, something that lasts, you must be willing to disappear into the work. No spotlight, no shortcuts, just substance. The oak tree doesn't grow in a day. It stands still for years, anchoring itself deep into the soil before it even thinks about reaching toward the sun. That's you. Your roots must go deeper than your reach. Because when the storms come, and they will, the loud are the first to fall. The quiet ones, the rooted ones, remain. So dig deep. Ground yourself in principle, discipline, humility, conviction. And then rise inch by inch, stone by stone, not to impress the world, but to honor the gift of your potential. Let others chase spotlight. You chase substance. Let others chase followers. You chase foundation. Because when the dust settles, and the trends fade, and the noise dies, only one thing remains: who you've become when no one was watching. And that man is unstoppable. The man who needs no audience is the one who commands every room he enters. Not because he demands attention, but because his presence carries the weight of 1,000 intentions realized in silence. This is what happens when you live aligned, when your words, your habits, and your results all speak the same truth. When you're not performing life, you're living it, rooted, certain, quietly lethal. Understand this? You don't become powerful by saying you will. You become powerful by preparing in silence while the world sleeps, by studying while others scroll, by practicing when nobody's watching, by sharpening your blade on the whetstone of your own standard. And then, when the moment arrives, you don't flinch. You don't pause. You execute. That's the power of silence. It's not the absence of noise. It's the presence of intention. Confucius said, "To see what is right and not do it is the want of courage." But courage isn't loud. It's not paraded. It doesn't demand applause or recognition. It just acts. In alignment, in season, in truth. And the most courageous thing you can do in this era of noise is to go inward, to quiet the ego, to deny the craving for constant validation, to stop performing and start becoming. Because becoming is messy, it's repetitive, it's unglamorous, it's slow, but it's real. The world doesn't need more performers, it needs builders. And builders don't yell about blueprints. They build them brick by brick until one day someone looks up and says, "Where did that masterpiece come from?" And you'll smile because you'll know you laid every stone in silence. So stop announcing your goals, start embodying them. Speak less, become more.